Hello, this is Christina Yonkman, and I'm going to share my case study for EDL 856, titled A New Role for the Parents Organization. So to start with, I'd like to summarize and share some of the facts about the case study. There is a newly formed independent parent organization that has discontinued their affiliation with the National PTA. They have a president and they've elected officers, and the president happens to be a young attorney. They have also created parent committees in hopes of looking at school discipline, teacher performance, the curriculum in the school, and just total school evaluation. They want to observe conditions in the school. They want to collect data from students, parents, and teachers, and they want to issue policy statements on the need for change. So as far as who is involved and what do they say and what do they think, I'm going to start with the newly formed parent organization. They have been supportive of the school in the past. They want equal involvement in the school's decision-making and policy-making process. They want the officers to work on changing the traditional back-to-school night that is typically planned. They want to hold back to school meetings where they're weekly, where teachers are required to attend and present. And they also want to work that out through the parent-teacher conferences. They want parent participation, and they are strongly also wanting community involvement. They are really hoping to have my support as the principal and will work cooperatively with me. Which brings me to the next person involved, and that is myself, the school principal. I am concerned about the new parent organization. I'm really puzzled by their attitude and what happened or what changed from last spring. I feel the role of their group is to support the school program, and I've always been able to count on their support in the past. I did want to meet with them, and when I started to question them and ask questions, I was ignored. I am concerned, or excuse me, I'm surprised by the parents' proposal. I'm concerned that I wasn't included in the plan, or as a matter of fact, none of the school personnel were involved or included. I am concerned that there will be interference with the normal school operations. And since I'm the principal, I am accountable for the school and should be included in that decision making. I want to respond in a way that will meet the parents' concerns so that it doesn't upset them or the educational program. So next in my summarization, we're going to talk about what didn't happen. And, there's some things we don't know, but what all parents were involved. We only know about the committee and the officers. Did they include parents from all demographics in our district? Or was it just a select group, a select few? Were the officer elections fair, and were they ran properly? Was everyone had the chance to run as an office? They did not include school staff, as I mentioned. As a matter of fact, nothing was even mentioned about student involvement. And there's definitely been a lack of communication and no collaboration. Okay, we're moving on now to section 2, and I want to talk about the legal and ethical issues. And basically, I can't really say that there was anything illegal that has happened yet. However, I am concerned that with them wanting to require teachers to be there weekly and present topics, that there could be a breach of contract or the negotiated agreement. I'm also concerned about a FERPA violation regarding discipline, because outside people should not know, students' discipline, only the parents that are involved. It also brings up a good point as far as they talked about surveying students, staff, and families. And the state has now passed a new law where you have to go through a certain process and get parent permission and kind of an opt-in, opt-out. And so that is a concern also. I feel like there could be a breach of confidentiality as far as regarding teacher performance. I think it's great that parents want to be involved in the classroom and involved with teachers, and collaborating, but they definitely should not have a say on their formal evaluation. And again, that should be something that is between the teacher and myself. As far as discrimination or ethical concern, again, it kind of goes back to the who was allowed to join the organization and how did um, the election of officers run. So there could be discrimination or ethical concern there. And then last, I don't believe anyone was harmed during this case study. So as far as exactly what happened, so basically a newly formed parent organization is seeking support to be more involved in the day-to-day decision and policy making process of the school, which is concerning to the building principal, which is myself. Now we're going to look at some facts and some of the missing facts, and I have these divided into three categories. So the first column we're going to look at is the people involved. We do know the parents that are involved, they're on the committees and the officers, but we don't know what other parents are involved, so that is missing information. And again, what kind of demographics were included, or is it a select set? We really don't know much about the teachers involved in this situation. Obviously, they're requesting teachers to be involved, but did they include them on any of the decision making? Again, what about students? They're who we are there for every day, and were they involved in anything? Um, Building administration, which would be myself, I know I was not involved, so that's kind of a missing fact. Um, are there other building administrators? We really don't know who all is involved there besides myself. We don't know anything about the district administration in this case study. And we also don't know what type of families are represented. Again, that kind of goes back to the demographics and is there a good representation? As far as place, we do not know the school size or where the school is even located. And the other thing that I think would be important to know is where were these newly held meetings and officer elections taking place, and where will meetings in the future be held? As far as programs, I think it's really, really important to reach out to community groups, and we don't know a lot of information here besides the parent organization, but the community groups are what really helps us ensure that students are getting what they need to be successful in the classroom as far as career and college readiness after graduation. What student clubs or groups are involved? You know, who are we looking at? This is where students become involved and help them be successful in the classroom. The school committees that were mentioned, we don't know a lot of detail on them. They did give us some factors as far as what they were wanting to do. But again, when will those committees meet? Who all is involved with that? And exactly what is their purpose? We don't know anything about our school budget or if the parent organization has any type of fundraising or budget. School policies is definitely something that you would want to check into. And again, we don't know a lot as far as the case study goes. And then again, one of the programs that I mentioned that we do know is the offices that are held, the officers that are on the committees, but we don't know specifically what other offices are held besides the president. Okay, so as we move on to the next section, we're going to look at prioritizing the information. And the way I did this was I looked at all the people involved. And I started with our students on top because I feel like ultimately in the end, the students are going to be the most important thing we need to think about. They are what we go there for every day. They're the reason we're all there. And then I kind of branched it out to our staff and then our parents, because to me, they are the next ones that need to be prioritized. As far as the staff, you know, it's my job to support them. And it's also important that I provide resources for them and help with their continued professional growth and development. Again, back up on students real quick, I wanted to mention that we need to support every student's learning and their development at school. As far as parents, we need to ensure that they're involved in the decision making about their child's education. And so again, did we involve a majority of students, or excuse me, of parents, or who, you know, we want to make sure we prioritize that. Then I moved down to administration and our school board as far as the other administration in the building, if there were any, or district admin. And then, of course, involving our school board, because they're going to be the ones that help pass the policies or possibly help with funding. And then at the bottom of the other side, I included our parent organization, because honestly, they're just a small part of this. There's a whole lot of other things that we need to prioritize and consider besides just that select handful of people. And then we also need to consider all of our other community resources, all of our other community groups, as far as our external, public people and our taxpayers, which can include additional parents. Okay, so moving on then, as far as section 6, I wanted to look, before I could make a plan, I thought of 3 options that I could do. The first thing I could do is basically do nothing, just allow the parent organization to get involved as they wish. Probably would be the easiest, with less conflict. However, I think ultimately in the end, it's going to hurt our school. It's going to affect our students and our staff. And ultimately, it's going to show that I am not a strong leader, and that, the building and the students and our staff are not the most important. The second option would be to collaboratively engage with the parent organization and include other stakeholders, which could include internal faculty, staff, district admin, students. We could look at our parents. We could go outside and look at our other community groups and other resources. And then our last option would be to communicate with the parent group and let them know that we appreciate what they're doing, but we'd like for them to stay involved as in the past. But they are not going to be able to do what they're wanting and be involved in the daily decision and policy making process. Again, this would require some probably tough conversation, and we don't know how they would react to that. It would be a safe plan, but ultimately in the end, we may lose our parent organization and our support, which could include some financial resources. So as I moved on to the next section, we're going to evaluate and develop my plan. There were several questions I had to ask myself. And the first one was, how can all of the stakeholders involved be helpful? And again, we need to look beyond our parent organization. What laws do we need to consider? We need to look at our state laws, and we definitely need to look, I mentioned the one back when we were talking about student surveys. How will we communicate school and student success? This is going to be an important part of the plan. And how can we allow families to be involved in the decision making of their children? How are we going to communicate with our non-English speakers? Or, how are we going to get the information out there? If we have events, how are we going to make sure that they are involved? What school policies or district policies and guidelines should we consider? And again, this is going to go back to our negotiated agreement and our staff handbook. And how can the community help with resources? We're talking about the parent organization, but we rely on a lot of other resources, specifically smaller schools like the one I'm currently in. We rely a lot on that community support. And then last, how are those resources used to support student learning? And that's going to be the ultimate question in the end. Are we doing what's best for student learning? So as I started considering all of these options, I looked at the pros and the cons. The pros of the first option, which is do nothing, would definitely be it avoids conflict and the school would have support and resources. However, the cons, there would definitely be a possible legal risk. There's ethical concern there. It shows lack of poor leadership. It affects our staff and our students in a negative way, and it could possibly violate school policy. The second option, which is collaboratively engage with our staff and our students and our families, and then the parent organization and other outside agencies. The pros for that would be the school would have support and resources. It does reinforce our district, state, and building policies. It would be an ethically correct decision. It benefits school improvement and it promotes our student development. It does help advocate for staff and student needs, and it also shows good leadership and communication on my end. As far as a con, it can take time. There can be some difficult conversations and decisions to be made, and it can also be costly. The last option that I considered was communicate with the parent organization and let them know that they cannot proceed and that we will continue as in the past. A pro of this is it does reinforce our policies within the district. It would be ethically correct. It would take minimal resources, and it would show good leadership and communication. However, a con to this, and it could be a big con, would be we may lose support and resources, and there would definitely be some uncomfortable conversations, which would probably result in some broken relationships. So when I consider the pros and cons, next I'm going to develop and reflect on my plan, and I refer to several different resources as I started to look at this. I would definitely want to look at my district staff handbook, our Board of Education policies and handbook. I would definitely want to consult the negotiated agreement, especially when we're talking about staff and their time commitments. And I would definitely want to refer to local and state laws and policies. And then a big part of my plan you're going to see here in a little bit is our communication piece. And so I would consult the district technology communication plan. So what is the plan? I chose the second option, which was to collaboratively engage. And I feel like there is some immediate action that would need to take place. That would involve notifying my district administration and setting up a meeting with the parent organization and the officers. And I would like for one of the district admin to be there present with them and myself. When we meet, we will voice our appreciation and let them know how much, we appreciate everything they've done in the past, and we look forward to working with them and collaborating, and we're excited to work with them. I think it's really important at this meeting that we explain some of our district and state policies and laws so that the parent organization is aware of everything that is about to come. What I would like to recommend is that a parent rep, and it could be one of their officers or somebody, serve on our building and district site councils, which is where we have staff, students, and community and parents, possibly even our building leadership team. But that way they have a voice and they can be involved in some of the decision making. We would definitely want to discuss when and where the parent group is going to meet and what building rep should attend. I feel like it's really important if they're going to meet and want to be involved in some of the decisions, then there should be some type of building representation district staff there. I think it's really important to share our building and district communication forms the way we communicate with the public in written, oral, and digital way. So we would want to share this with the parent organization and make sure they're aware of our social media accounts, that they're following us. Let them know about possible newsletters or the Remind app and how we get information out. Because I think a big part of this plan is making sure that the parent organization is informed and communicated with, and they feel involved and a part of the school. I would invite the organization to be present at building and district events, whether it's back to school night, which we could plan together. It might be a career fair. It might be a community fair. Maybe they could have a booth at parent-teacher conferences. So there's just lots of different things that they could possibly be involved in. I also think at this meeting it's going to be important and in the future to share our building improvement data and student and staff successes so that our parent organization knows that ultimately in the end our student and staff success is what we're all working towards. So those are all the things that I would look at doing immediately. And then I would move into on down maybe within the next month or so. I think it would be important to meet with staff and our leader and me action teams, which include staff and students, kind of let them know about this new parent group and that they will be working with us. I would look at making a monthly newsletter and distributing those to internal and external publics within our community so that the information gets out there. And again, this is something that would be shared with the parent organization. Again, I would want to share student and staff success through written, oral, and digital communication. And again, we would use a lot of our social media platform, the school website, our radio, TV, newspaper, and through our Remind app that we use as a district communication tool. I would want to schedule and attend a district and building site council meeting to begin our planning for the year. And this is the one that I talked about having a parent organization rep serve on. And so this is an organization that meets monthly throughout the year. And so we would meet right away and get started looking at our back to school event. And then last, in this part of the plan, I would invite our students in our STUCO and our Leader in Me action teams to present to the parent organization, share with them what all is going on in the school and how the students, especially through our Leader in Me program, the students take on a lot of the lead, and a lot of the decisions that are made within the building come from student recommendations. And so I think it's important that our parent organization is aware of all of that. And then before the end of the school year, I would follow up with the parent organization quarterly, and that way there's just constant communication. We would update our district and building policy regarding outside groups if that's something that our district feels is needed, since there was this concern with this new organization being formed. Definitely, we would update the Board of Education as needed. I would promote collaboration through our oral, written, and digital communication that we just talked about. I would want to collaborate with the staff, students, and the parent group, and possibly hold a community fair with all of the publics involved. I think it's really important for our parent group, again, to see the other outside resources, because they also may be a benefit for them, as well as our school building. As far as surveying staff, students, parents, and the community members, I think a survey is a great idea, and the teacher organization mentioned that. However, there are some guidelines that we would need to follow, and I think it's important that the site council and the Leader in Me action teams are involved in that, as far as what we want to survey the students, staff, and community members and parents about. And then I would also offer monthly trainings to staff and community groups. And this could be a variety of things, as far as things go, as far as maybe offering a training on what is Leader in Me, offer a training on our various communication tools, offer a training on what do we offer for college and career readiness, maybe even offering a training on collaboration. And this could be a variety of things. It could be something as simple as a video type training. It could be something that's held in person. And so that would just be a variety of things that we could do throughout the year. And then to kind of end the year, I would like to hold an end of the year celebration with staff, students, and parents, and let our parent organization be involved in that, and just kind of come together to celebrate the collaboration. So next, I'm going to talk about reflecting and implementing the plan. I've given you lots of details, and so that would be the first step, is that we talked about just a little bit ago. That's notifying my district admin and meeting with the parent organization. An important step is also notifying all stakeholders, as I talked about in the plan, and using our communication policy and all of our communication tools. We need to consider what may happen. There is possibly a chance that the parent organization refuses to collaborate. They may say, forget it, we don't want to work with you guys. There may be a chance that staff and or students are not willing to participate. There is possible legal ramifications from the district if things continue as the committee wanted, and they as far as time commitments on our staff, or if they would try to do something that was illegal as far as students FERPA or surveys were involved. District admin may question my leadership if things don't go as planned. Attendance at our events could be low. Trainings may not be attended. And last, we could have lack of support from our current school board. Okay, so with all of that in mind, we're going to talk about what could our plan B be? What could plan B? So first of all, if things don't go as planned, I would definitely want to involve the personnel department and the school's attorney if needed. I would use other internal and external publics for resources, including parents. I would look at possibly applying for grants to help supplement our budget. I would have staff help plan and teach the trainings, because a lot of times when you have your coworkers help with that, they're well attended instead of just outside resources. And then I would consider contacting other parent and community members to collaborate with. So that gives you a overview of the plan and all of the details. So to conclude, I would like to share the correlation. I feel like this case study has really helped me see how collaborating and communicating with community groups can help benefit our school improvement. It'll help with staff growth and student success. I was able to apply this case study to my own building and consider what our internal and external publics are and how we can communicate with them through oral, written, and digital means to basically advocate for the needs of our school. As far as relevancy, this module helped me review and study my building and district policies. And definitely I could see how those policies affect students and staffs within my building. It also helped me realize how important it is that I remain a strong leader and advocate for ultimately students, since that's what we are there for, but also my staff and the district. And it's my job to collaborate and build relationships with community groups, because that's the key to strengthening our student learning and ensuring success of my staff. And then the personal reflection: as a future leader, I will make it a priority to advocate for the needs of my staff, students, and their families. And this ultimately will help with our school improvement. I will also help develop positive relationships and communicate with all stakeholders to ensure that basically the needs of our school and community are being met, and that by the time my students graduate, they are college and career ready. So I thank you for your time. Have a great evening. And there are my references.